What's up YouTube, it's Josh with Hapawerks. It's been a little bit of a while since I've posted any kind of videos. Just some interesting things going on in my life. They're all good things, but they've taken me away from filming quite as much as I've wanted to. Anyways, I have promised you guys the video for the 4-pot STIs for long enough. So today, that's what we're doing, and I'll walk you through what's going on with those and how to put those on yourself. Little bit of a quick thing, along with some of the interesting things happening in my life right now. I'm actually going to be selling the WRX, so I'm in the process of returning it back to stock. It's going to be dropped off either at a dealer, Carvana, or CarMax or something like that, and all those parts will be for sale as well. If you're interested in those, hit up my Instagram. That's at Hapawerks. I'll put that right here or here or here or anywhere. But yeah, go check that out, and maybe you grab some parts. But either way, the channel's going to be expanding, which is actually interesting, and I hope you stay along for this. And if you're subscribed, I hope you stay subscribed. Yeah, I'm going to be focusing on a couple of my other vehicles. I've got a 67 FJ45 Land Cruiser that I want to be fixing up. I've got this guy right here, which is my baby. That's a 1973 BMW 2002. That one's getting fixed up, and then we're going to replace the WRX with something that I can buy cash. I just want to go on record for having said this. I am not recommending that you put these brakes on. I am not the one that has told you to do this. I didn't convince you to do this. I'm not promising you that this is safe. But that all being said, I figured for myself it was safe. I liked it. I think it's great. It braked phenomenally, much better than the stock brakes did. I know that's been like the big complaint with the new 22 WRXs. So I went ahead and did the 6-pot swap and tackled it, and I designed a little brake spacer. It requires a brake rotor spacer in the front, and I loved it. I think it was great. I think it's safe, at least safe enough for me to put on. But again, I just can't go on record saying that this is going to be ultimately safe. If something breaks, not my fault. Before we start, I just want to say this. The 4-pot and the 6-pot STI brakes. So the 4-pots were, I believe, from 08 to 17, and then the 6-pots were from 18 to 21, equipped only on the STI models. Now, they are almost the same in terms of fit, in terms of offset, in terms of whether or not they bolt on. As far as parts go, you need exactly the same parts for all of these, minus the fact that if you have a set of 4-pots, you need to pair it with 4-pot rotors and pads, as well as when you have the 6-pots, you need the corresponding rotors and pads. You can go and buy these things for new. Your best option is going to find either a part out of a wrecked STI. That's what I did. That's how I got these parts for far cheaper. I think people have been saying, oh, the swap is going to cost $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. It's not. I'm not going to tell you exactly what I spent, but it is a lot cheaper than that. And then you're going to need just a couple extra parts, and I'm going to walk you through that. So we're going to start on the rear end, and I will show you exactly what's needed and what kind of modifications you need to make these fit. Okay, so we are at the back end of the car. These are the rear of the 6-pot STI brake set, essentially. These are 2 pots, and they will pretty much bolt right on. The only thing that's needed for these is you need to trim the back plate, and let me see if I can get a good shot of that. I'm using the gimbal right now, so this might be a bit difficult. I don't know if you can see, but the brake backing plate, this guy right here, usually has a lip that goes in, and because this rotor's so oversized, it would interfere with it. So when you have the brake rotor off, what you do is you just take that rim and you go along with like a cutoff tool or a die grinder or something, and you just cut that lip off, and that goes around the whole thing, and then this rotor fits right on top of that. Okay, other than that, the STI calipers have a specific thread pitch in the back that does not work with the VB WRX, or I think even any WRX brake bolts. So you need to get the matching bolts for these brakes. If you get a part out, make sure they include those bolts with it. You're better off getting a brake line as well with it. Better yet, get the rotor and the pads with it as well. These are stock rear rotors, stock pads. I got them slightly used from a wrecking yard. And then I got 18 to 21 STI brake lines. Now, they will not bolt up here. They look stretched, but they're not. There's a lot of play at droop, even at compression. You've got enough play here that this doesn't get overstretched, and they don't have enough play to get sucked into the wheel or anything. So I've left them here. If you want to, you could even zip tie them to the upper control arm here. That's really it for this. That's as simple as it is. It really just is taking the old caliper off, taking the old rotor off, trimming the back plate, put the new rotor on, put the new caliper on, and hook the new brake lines up, and then you're bleeding. All right, here we have the front 6-pot STI brakes. It's very similar to the rears on how these install, but there is a couple little things that you need to note. The front rotor has the surface of where the rotor sits is different from the 2018 to 21 STIs, which means this rotor sits in too far. To compensate for that, you need a special brake spacer. Let me actually show you real quick. So I went ahead and designed these guys, and these are special brake rotor spacers. Now you can make these on your own somehow if you've got that kind of capability. If not, I've got I think like 3 sets left. If you want some, hit me up on Instagram. That's at Hapawerks. I might put that here again. But yeah, just hit me up on there. Maybe I can get you a set of these if they're not already sold out. And if not, I can kind of show you what to do, or we'll see if I ever make another production run of these. But since I'm not a company, I don't really like making things. So, you know you need a rotor spacer. That pushes the rotor out. That rotor spacer needs to be 7.5 millimeters. Now I've read somewhere, to be exact, it's like 7.63 millimeters. If you want to be that exact, you got to do your own research. I spaced them out 7.5, and my brakes have been just fine. And the pads have been wearing pretty evenly for the most part. Let me actually check, and I can show that to you guys. You might be able to see it, and you might not. Either way, the pads have been fine. They've been wearing pretty evenly. And so, you need a full caliper, rotor, and pads off of the 2021, 18 to 2021 STI. You need the you need the bolts, the caliper mounting bolts as well. Again, these have a different thread pitch than your OEM calipers. So you have to make sure you're matching the bolts, otherwise you will cross thread these. You can buy them brand new from Subaru. You have to do some research. You'll type that into their OEM parts website, but they do make the caliper mounting bolts. Best way to do it, go to a wrecking yard, go to a dismantler, get these brakes, get the bolts with it already, problem solved. My ones are actually they have a brand new powder coating on them, which is why they look really nice. And then I got these decals off of, I believe, Etsy, and they have held up just fine. The other thing you're gonna wanna know is that if you're putting these rotors on and you have a spacer behind it, your studs are gonna be really short, and you're most likely not gonna be able to mount any wheels or even aftermarket wheels on it. So the ARP extended lug studs for the STIs work just fine on these. They are great. They are super easy to install. The rears are a little tough if you wanted to do them, but you don't need it. But you would have to take the entire brake unit off. These, and I believe you have to remove the hub just to get to the back of these. These ones, there's a really kind of like an easy spot in the back where you can knock the existing studs out and put these ones in. That makes this super easy. Obviously you're running longer studs, so you are going to need open-ended lug nuts as well. Okay, let's break this down. You will need 08 through 17 or 18 through 21 calipers, rotors, pads, mounting bolts, front and back. You will need a full set of brake lines, front and back. You can use either the OEM ones, or you can run stainless steel ones like I did. You will need a front rotor spacer. You will need extended lug studs in the front and open-ended lug nuts front and rear. You don't technically need them in the rear, but if you're getting a full set, just get them all. And then lastly, you will need to trim your backing plates. The rears, you have to cut that entire rim off essentially, and then in the fronts, where the caliper mounts those two bolts that hold it on, right where those ears are, the backing plate is going to interfere with those. So you're going to have to trim just a little piece off of each end, and you'll see what I mean when you see one. But that's really it. It's a super simple install, other than obviously having to have somebody there to bleed your brakes, unless you've got a brake bleeder setup. But yeah, it's easy. It should take you maybe 4 hours or so to do. And yeah, I'm actually going to be taking these off now, and then these will be for sale. If they're still for sale, hit up my Instagram and see if you want them. And that's really it. Super simple. Hope you enjoy it, and I hope you get to put an STI kit on yours as well. I enjoyed mine, and I hope you enjoy yours as well. Peace.